Authorities in Richards Bay say they've contained the fire at the NCT wood chip mill, but windy conditions may flare up those flames. Fortunately, from what we know, no one is reported dead or injured. Preliminary investigations indicate that the fire spread to the conveyor belt system, which of course intensified the situation. Our reporter, as mentioned, Dasen Thathiah, is at the scene and he joins me now for the latest. Dasen, when I spoke to you earlier, we know that that fire is contained and there's no danger to the surrounding areas there. But what is the latest you can tell us there?
Well, Baron, I think there's no better way to describe what's happening now other than showers of blessing, because that's exactly what it is. There's a downpour now that started just a short while ago, and that hopefully will be helping the situation that is unfolding just down the road behind me. So just to locate you and our viewers, we're still on the John Ross Highway, except we've traveled a little further down the road now, just a little bit away from the fire and where we were speaking earlier. The reason for this is just to show you exactly what was taking place last night. The fire, when it got out of control late last night, was then threatening to spread across the road here. And beyond the trees and the greenery that you should be seeing on the side of your frame now, there are houses, and that's one of the neighborhoods here in Richards Bay. So that was where there was panic and chaos last night, because the community was afraid that the fire, coupled with the windy conditions that they were experiencing here, would then end up dropping some of those embers onto the roofs of the houses nearby. So this road remains closed now. Traffic has been diverted, as you're seeing, and that will allow people to bypass this section of road where that fire is still burning alongside. And with this being wood chips, the risk is fairly high if the wind does pick up, because the possibility of those embers spreading and causing more damage, particularly to the factories nearby, which could exacerbate the issue, as well as the houses, that remains a concern. But now with the rain coming down, the emergency services teams here are saying that it could provide some relief, because I think it's important to remember that they are not actively fighting this fire at this point. The point of all of it is really to contain it, because it is a fire that could potentially burn for a few days. We had an opportunity to speak to the head of public health and emergency services here at the city of eNCA, and let's listen to what he had to tell us when we chatted to him.
Of course, Dasen, we will listen to what he had to say a little later. I just want to ask you, we mentioned earlier that there is an investigation underway. You've spoken to a few people. Maybe you might have some clarity or what the exact cause of this fire might have been. If not, when it is important for something like this not to happen, of course, again in the near future, because like you said, those embers can spread. So are investigations underway still, and what are they hoping to find, and how can they prevent this from happening in the future?
The city of eNCA says that it appears right now that the preliminary investigations point to a fire breaking out at the conveyor belt at that mill, the wood chip mill that we are talking about. As to whether that is confirmed, they're saying, look, the investigation still needs to proceed, and they need to look further into that to find out what could have been the possible cause, or if that is in fact it. But the preliminary investigations point to that being a source of it. Obviously, the fire then being exacerbated by the weather conditions yesterday. Temperatures soared to about 39 degrees in the city of eNCA yesterday, and as well as the wind that we're talking about. So all of that really just making it a difficult situation to contend with. One of the other issues that we have to talk about is also that of resources. So although many areas would struggle to deal with a fire of this magnitude, the city of eNCA being no different, the fortunate element here is that the factories nearby and the industries that are around here also have their own fire services. The community also had come out to help, many of them rallying around. There were water tankers that were sent out here. So all of those efforts really contributed to the fire being kept under control and ultimately leading to it now being contained on that property, where there is going to be a lot of damage, a lot of loss as well to that business. I think it's important to note that those wood chips are exported. So that is part of one of the thriving industries here in the Richards Bay area.
All right, let's listen to what that official had to say, the one that Dasen was talking about earlier.
We do suspect the conveyor belt in the area where it started from, but that is still subject for further investigation. We don't want to preempt that part, but obviously that's where it's more likely to have started from, looking at what actually happened on site. We have a community run just up here, the Arboretum. That's an area that was really at risk yesterday, particularly in the evening, but we managed to control that. And in terms of controlling that, we have a number of we actually got support from different industries that are around here, City of Umhlathuze, because obviously we have to get support where there is a need. It's how we work in the area. And we managed to get most of the support from different industries in terms of getting more water assistance, because while we actually trying to deal with fire, we need to replenish water in those, and we don't have time to go and get water somewhere else. So different industries, different companies were actually on board to assist us, and I think it went very well in terms of assistance. We almost had about, in terms of the now fire engines, we had about 6, 7 from time to time coming in, working in those areas.
All right, I'll be back at the top of the hour. Thank you so much, Dasen Thathiah, for that. We will be back with Newslink at the top of the hour. We're going to SA Inc. right now, so do stay with us here on eNCA. That's DSTV 403.